Hi everybody, welcome. I'm Bruce Beck. We're in Glen Cove, New York today in Jade's kitchen, home of Jade Made Foods. Thank you, Jade. We love your kitchen. This recipe is for my friend Sylvia. Sylvia grew up in Saarbrücken on the border between Germany and France, and she understood European food. She loved good food. She was the most accomplished home cook, actually, that I've ever known. We joked for years about my making a Choucroute Garnie. Here are the ingredients for it. It's one of my favorite dishes. It was one of hers. And when I finally had a minute to think about doing a little entertaining, then Sylvia had gotten sick. So instead I cooked other things for her. But we never got to share that famous choucroute. So I'm making it today. Here it is. This is for you, Sylvia. Thank you for the gift of your friendship. Look at what I've got here. This is 2 pounds of sauerkraut. This is raw sauerkraut. This whole thing will really only serve about 4 people with maybe a little bit in the way of leftovers. Your choice of meats, make sure you have something that's smoked. We have 2 smoked things today. We have this wonderful double smoked bacon, and we have a smoked pork chop. So let me just jump in and get started with this. It has to cook for a while. We want to get going with the veggies, and I'm just going to very thinly slice an onion, and we'll start that off in our pot. We need onion and apple, and we'll also put in some touch of garlic. Just need a little bit of vegetable oil with this. Traditionally, these kinds of dishes are made with goose fat or duck fat or lard or something Eastern European like that. So for apple, I usually choose a tart apple and a sweet apple. So again, let's get a nice thin slice on this so that the apple pieces will pretty much disappear into the sauerkraut. Here, that's our goal. Got some Granny Smith apple, and then this one is a Gala. If it's fall and you're at the farmer's market and you can get something wonderful that's local, that's even better. So the veggies have to cook for a little bit, and we'll get that going, and then we'll add the sauerkraut. It's traditional to add some wine to a dish like this. Instead of 2 cups of wine, I'm going to add a little bit of distilled white vinegar. You could use wine vinegar as well. And then some sugar. This is turbinado. I like to use a sugar that has a little bit of taste to it. You can use this as a substitute for wine and save the wine for the table. When the onions start to get tender, then add the apples. And I'm going to slice the garlic very thinly lengthwise. I just think it tastes better. It has a lighter, cleaner taste, I think, when it's not manipulated too much. As soon as the garlic is nice and fragrant, and it is, then we can begin to add the other ingredients. Now the sauerkraut, you'll want to rinse with cold water to get out the excess brine, and then also you want to squeeze it. So squeeze out all the excess moisture, and that's how you get a nice, clean taste to your choucroute. By the way, this is called a Choucroute Garnie, so this is not just a sauerkraut that you're going to put on your weenies. This is garnished. So here goes our 2 cups liquid. And to that, we're going to add 2 bay leaves, some freshly ground black pepper, and I like to use just a little bit of thyme. It just seems to give it the right taste. So at this point, I'll add a little bit of salt. Anything that's smoked should probably go in early. So I have this wonderful double smoked bacon. So that's in nice chunks. And my Kassler-Rippchen I'm going to put in there. We'll carve that up later to serve it. That we can just sort of bury in there. Garlic sausage, a kielbasa. So we're going to put that in early. And then the other wurst here we can save until later. But this needs to cook for, at least an hour and a half to make sure that it is nice and tender and all those flavors come together. So I have a pair of some of my favorites. These are Knockwurst. This is a Weisswurst or a Bockwurst. This was my father's favorite. This one's called Bauernwurst. So these are going to go in later. We're going to cover this, let it cook. It should simmer gently. You might as well go ahead and add a little bit of salt if it needs it. If you've rinsed the sauerkraut properly and squeezed it out properly, you're going to end up actually having to add salt to it. So don't let that concern you. That's normal. Okay, so this needs to cook gently. Okay, see you in about an hour. So I'm moving some of these wonderful meats out onto our platter. Here's our Knockwurst. That was the andouille and the Bauernwurst. And we've got our kielbasa and this wonderful Kessler. And let me go ahead and get some of the beautiful choucroute with the bacon in it. Let me get some of that on our platter. All of our goodies. We've got our potatoes. Let me put some of those around. And we've got our 2 mustards. We have a nice Dijon mustard and also a Pommery style whole grain mustard. So, some of our choucroute and Dijon mustard for me, and we're all set to go. Let me just give this a little taste test here and make sure we're okay. Heaven. Thanks everybody. Thank you, Sylvia.